In this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial from my group on how to draft this stylish princess dart dress. So I'm going to start by drafting the upper part of this dress. So for this dress, you're going to make use of your half length. Now your half length is your shoulder to under bust plus 3 inches, or your shoulder to waist then minus 2 inches from it. Now, I'm using my shoulder to under bust plus 3. So I marked my shoulder measurement plus half and I came down by 1 inch. Now, why I added that half inch is because this dress has a sleeve. I'll find my chest line, which is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. I made a mark on that point and I will go ahead to draw out a straight line. The next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to place my tape and I will mark. That is what I have on my shoulder, which is my shoulder divided by 2 plus half. Now I will connect it, drawing out a straight line. I'll place my tape and I will divide my armhole into 2. Come out by ½ inch, and at this point at the chest line I will mark my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. I'll connect from my bust circumference to that ½ inch and to the shoulder point. After I'm done marking this, I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline my pattern. I'll go ahead and label my pattern bust under bust, and here is my half length. So just like I said, your half length is above your waistline by 2 inches or your under bust measurement plus 3. Now I'll go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I'm going to go ahead to place my ruler and I'll draw out a straight line. So after marking this, that midpoint at your armhole, go ahead to place it and connect to your to your bust point. Now after connecting, this is our curve for our princess dart, and I'll blend this in. So I'll go ahead to take my dart intake of ½ inch on both sides and I will connect. So unless you're working for someone that is extremely big, somebody that is on the bigger size, you can use 0.75. Now this ½ inch on both sides, I'm going to place my ruler, my curved rule, and reconnect it back to the armhole. Now I'll go ahead to blend this out. So I was supposed to mark out my dart at the under bust before actually doing this. So after I'm done connecting, the next step I'm going to take now is to go ahead to mark my dart intake. So for my dart intake, I'm going to be marking 1.5 inches here and ½ inch here. And if you're a plus size, you use 1 inch at the front and 2 inches at the other side. And also if you're a bit busty, you should also use 1 inch at the front and 2 inches at the side. Now I'll go ahead to connect. So after I'm done connecting this part of my pattern, I'll go ahead to insert my body measurement. My bust is 33 divided by 4. I have 8.3 inches and I will mark. Measure this 1 inch dart intake, replace and add my sewing allowance. My under bust is 28 inches divided by 4. I will mark. Measure the dart intake and add my sewing allowance. So your waist measurement is what you'll be using on your half length. So my waist and my under bust measurement is the same thing. So I will go ahead to connect my pattern. So this is what I have, and after I'm done marking this out, the next step I'm going to take is to mark out my neckline. I marked 6 inches, and from here I'll come in by 2.5 inches, then go ahead to connect this. So from here you draw like a little curve and then connect it upwards. So after I'm done connecting, I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline this pattern. So this is what I have, and I'll go ahead to cut it out. After cutting this out, we are going to be cutting out that overlay on top of this pattern. So if you notice this pattern, there's another fabric on it, which is the Ankara fabric. Now let's say you're joining your dress or you're making your dress, you go ahead to finish sewing your dress before cutting that out. Or if you have a pinnable mannequin, you can go ahead to tape up your pattern this way and then place it on the mannequin, pin it down there. Then you're now going to trace out that part. But since I don't have a pinnable mannequin, and I'm just going to go ahead to use my pattern paper this way, I'll place it from the midpoint and I will trace out. So whatever I trace out here, I'll still go ahead to readjust it because I'm not actually seeing what I'm doing very well. So I'll just cut this out and I'll place it on the pattern. So if it doesn't match, I will readjust it. So what I have is really much okay. So this is that overlay on top of it. So you're going to actually turn your fabric and attach it on it. So moving over to the back pattern of this dress, I've gone ahead to mark out my basic measurement, just like we did. The same measurement we used for the front is what we are using for the back. The only difference is that we have a zipper at the front. So after this, I'll go ahead and mark my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Note, all your measurement is starting after your zipper line. And I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I will draw out a straight line. After I'm done doing that, I'll mark 1/2 inch at the lower part of my half length, which I'll connect this all the way going up to my pattern. After I'm done connecting, I'm going to find the midpoint of my armhole, just like we did for the front. We are trying to give this a princess dart effect also at the back pattern of the dress, which I will go ahead to connect. After I'm done connecting, I'm going to go ahead to use my marker to outline this part of my dress. So after I'm done outlining, this is what I have. For the neckline, I'll go ahead to come in by 2.5 inches from the shoulder and mark 1.5 here. So I'll go ahead to connect this all the way up, and after I'm done connecting, this is what I have. So I'll just go out a little and connect. This is because sometimes when you're joining the midpoints, the middle and the side, it might not really match. I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Mark my under bust circumference divided by 4. Measure this dart intake, replace, and I will add my sewing allowance. Here I will mark waist circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace, and I will add my sewing allowance. After I'm done doing that, I'm going to place my ruler and I'm going to go ahead to connect this all the way down. After I'm done connecting this, I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline my pattern, and now the next step is to go ahead to take out the zipper bulge at the zipper part of this dress. Now you're going to mark 1/2 inch in front and you're going to place your ruler and you're going to extend this all the way to the front part or to the upper part of your pattern. Now you can decide to replace this at the side to avoid reducing your sewing allowance. Now I'll cut this off and cut out the rest of my pattern. After this, we're going to cut out the skirt pattern of this dress. So for the skirt pattern, you need to know the full length of your dress for the remaining part of your dress, which means, let's say my full length is 50 and I will take out the half length measurement, so the remaining part will be for my skirt. Now to mark your hip point when you're using your half length is 10 inches from the half length line. Unlike when you're using your waistline, it is 7 inches after your waistline. Remember that we went up from our waistline, so that's why we added extra 3 inches to it to get your hip point. So the next step is to get your shoulder to knee point. So you can go ahead to place your tape at your shoulder and get where your knee stopped on your pattern, and you're going to now mark it on the pattern paper. So after this, the next step is to come up by 2 inches. So why are you coming up by 2 inches? This is to give fitting to your skirt, right? From above the knee, you're trying to give fitting to your skirt. That's why you're taking 2 inches above the knee. So after this, now you're going to insert your measurement. So for the measurement, you're going to mark your waist circumference divided by 4, mark your hip circumference divided by 4, and also add your sewing allowance. Also add your sewing allowance for the waist. Then whatever you have on your hip, take out 1.5 or 2 inches from it. This totally depends on how fitted you want your skirt to be. Now go ahead to take that measurement all the way to the lower part of your pattern. Place your ruler and you're going to connect from your hip or from your waist to your hip, and from your hip to that 2 inches or 1.5 inches you came in by, then extend it all the way to the lower part. So this is your skirt pattern and you're going to cut this out. So to cut out this pattern for the back pattern of this skirt, all you have to do is add extra 1.5 inches or 2 inches in front of your pattern to serve as your zipper allowance for the back pattern of this dress. Now if you want to cut out this sleeve, you can cut it. Okay, I used a freehand method where you just mark out ½ inch as your starting point. Then you're going to get your sleeve cap height, which is your bust circumference divided by 12 plus 0.5. Mine is 3.2 inches. So I'm going to draw out a straight line here. I used a freehand method, which I went ahead to extend this all the way down and draw out a little curve. Why did I do this? This is because you're going to have a lot of pleating or folding at the armhole area to make it have that fit or that gong sleeve effect at that point. So now you can now go ahead to take your sleeve length. So whatever you're cutting for the sleeve should be at least 10 to 20 inches on fold, because you're trying to create like a gong looking sleeve. Now I'll just take this all the way straight and I will be cutting this out. So after cutting this out, I'll just go ahead to fold it a little to show you the effect that you'll be having on your sleeve. So let's just say this is your sleeve now that is on fold. So by the time you fold up this area and the other side goes up to the armhole, this is how your sleeve will be looking like. So if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button.